Greenland doesn't decide who wins a war, it decides who sees it coming. January 19th, 2026, Greenland. Greenland is not a backdrop. It is a control panel. One panel is warning time. The US operates Pituffik Space Base, renamed from Thule Air Base on April 6, 2023. It is built around missile warning and space mission support, and it sits on the most unforgiving geometry on Earth, polar routes. Here is the problem that drives everything else. Ground radar lives inside line of sight. The horizon is a hard ceiling. If a threat stays lower and maneuvers, detection comes later. Later compresses decisions. Compressed decisions create mistakes. Greenland matters because it is one of the few places where minutes can turn into seconds for anything crossing the top of the world. So the game is shifting from bases to sensors, and from sensors to networks. If you want to close a horizon gap, you do not argue with physics. You add altitude. That means more airborne sensing, more space sensing, and tighter data fusion. That also means money. Because modern warning is not a one-time purchase. It is a permanent upgrade cycle. Second panel is access. Greenland sits where the North Atlantic and the Arctic meet. As sea ice changes, routes and logistics become less theoretical. The island becomes a corridor for aircraft, submarines, satellites, cables, and resupply. That turns Greenland into leverage, and leverage attracts pressure. Third panel is sovereignty. Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark, with its own government and a right to decide its future. But external powers keep treating it like an asset. The clearest proof is not a rumor, it is public history. In August 2019, President Donald Trump confirmed he was considering an attempt to buy Greenland. Denmark rejected it, Greenland leaders pushed back, and the headlines faded. Then the quieter move happened. On June 10, 2020, the US reopened a consulate in Nuuk. That is what long games look like. Not a speech, a permanent footprint. And now the temperature is rising again. In mid-January 2026, reporting described renewed US pressure and a diplomatic scramble, including US lawmakers traveling to Denmark to lower tensions after Trump-related Greenland threats. At the same time, European politics is reacting in real time. Coverage in January 2026 described a sharp transatlantic dispute tied to Greenland, including talk of tariffs and coordinated European responses. Fourth panel is the Arctic build. Russia has spent years expanding and upgrading Arctic infrastructure across its northern frontier, including high-profile sites like Nagurskoye in the Franz Josef Land area, as tracked in open-source reporting and satellite image analysis. The point is not one base, it is a forward posture that assumes the Arctic is a live theater. Put these panels together and the picture is simple. Greenland is where deterrence becomes logistics. If the US and NATO can see earlier from the Arctic, they buy decision time. If they can move faster through the Arctic, they buy resilience. If they have deeper relationships in Nuuk, they buy political stability. If they lose any of those, they lose margin. And in the modern era, margin is the real weapon. This is why Greenland keeps returning to the center of the map, even when the public is distracted. Because Greenland is not about owning land, it is about owning time. It is about who gets the first clean track, who gets the first confident identification, who gets the first decision, and who is forced to react. And the most dangerous part is that none of this requires a dramatic spark. It is incremental. A renamed base, a reopened consulate, a new sensor concept, a bigger budget line, a new runway upgrade on the other side of the Arctic, a fresh political threat that makes markets and allies flinch. That is the Greenland story. Continuous developments that look small until they connect. If you want one takeaway that is clean and actionable, it is this. The next era of power is not just missiles and ships. It is detection, tracking, and decision loops. Greenland is one of the few places on Earth where that loop can be shortened or broken. And whichever side keeps the loop intact will not just feel safer, they will set the terms.